Hello everybody. Tomorrow it's going to be the first memorial of Krystie's funeral, May the 13th. She passed away on April the 11th, but it was May the 13th before we could hold her funeral. And I've been thinking the last few days about my decision to speak and to deliver a eulogy. It's one of the it is the hardest thing I've ever written. And as somebody who writes as part of my day-to-day work, writing is something I normally really enjoy doing. But I just didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to structure it, what to say. I knew I wanted to say something, and I knew that I wanted to do one last thing for Krystie and leave the gathering understanding a bit more about her and her life. But yeah, I just didn't know how I was going to do that. Interestingly, at that time, I decided I'd perhaps listen to other people's eulogies. I know that sounds odd, but just to give me some idea of what people do. And I remember typing into Google a mother's eulogy, and I couldn't find one. I could find husbands, wives. I couldn't find mothers. I could find brothers, sisters, friends. I found a couple, but there wasn't the content on there. I'm not surprised. It's a really odd topic, isn't it? So it was Sunday evening, and I knew that the funeral was going to be the next day. Sorry, that's wrong. It was Sunday morning and I knew that the funeral was going to be the next day. I woke up and I started to write at about 7:30 in the morning, and I finally finished at about 12:30 lunchtime. What I thought I would do to mark Krystie's first memorial is deliver that eulogy again today. I'm posting it on my YouTube channel because if there is another mom out there who has to do this and who feels lost in facing the task and who is unclear about what to do and how to do it, then this is what I did. And I think it's true of many things in life. There is no wrong or right way. Whatever you decide to do will be right. But if listening to how I approached it, and if hearing somebody else do it helps, then I'm happy to help. So I'm going to read it, so I perhaps won't be looking at the camera. I read it on the day because I didn't feel confident that I would be able to remember what I needed to say. It was such an emotional time, but here we go. A mother's eulogy. I cannot explain the joy that I felt when my third baby was handed to me, because she was the little girl that I really wanted. As you know, we already had two beautiful boys, Nicholas and Anthony. So when I became pregnant for a third time, I really wanted a little girl. And we were blessed with our happy baby Krystie. What a toddler she became. Bright, happy, curious. Her brothers did not know what had hit them as she very quickly set out to rule the roost. She was a stubborn little miss who tested all of my reasoning and influencing skills, because she gave in better to calm discussion than anything else. I called her Tigger because she bounced, ran, giggled her way through the days. This strong spirit would stand her in good stead. I worked part-time until she went to school, and so other people got to share the joy that was Krystie. My mother Molly, Rob's mother Joyce, aunts Sonia, Michelle, Mel, Joanne, her adopted nana Sonia Bevan, Emma, Demelza, Michelle Tonry, and as she grew older, Tracy, Janet, Carol. An African proverb says that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, our village was made up of family, close congregation friends, and some very close friends of mine. She benefited from all of those people, and it was people that she loved. She was such a sociable person. I have 3 props with me today. Meet Dancer. This is what a well-loved bear looks like. Restuffed with socks and tights and patched and stitched. He was her most precious possession for many years. He went everywhere with her. She loved him. She lost him once. I got back from a work shift and walked into Mum and Dad's living room to find a tearful little girl and an upset mum, as they told me that they'd been into town and lost Dancer. I'm sure you can imagine that scene. Then Dad walked in on a break from his taxi driving. He had his hands behind his back and asked what was wrong. We all told him. At this point, he revealed the missing Dancer. I'm sure you can imagine that scene too. Dad explained that he had walked into the paper shop by the rank where he parked his taxi, and he'd spotted the lost bear sitting on the counter. He told the shopkeeper that he most definitely knew this bear and it belonged to his granddaughter. Good old Grandad, he saved the day. I can't stand here and tell you that today is an unexpected shock, because the truth is that when Krystie got her diagnosis at just turned 9, we were told that her condition, Friedreich's ataxia, meant that her future was uncertain, and in view of the impact that the condition had already had on her heart, we knew that no day was promised. One of the hardest things I found was to give her enough information so that the changes she felt made sense without making her scared. For the most part, I let her questions lead me. I always answered them honestly, choosing words and explanations carefully so as not to distress her too much. One of our earliest discussions was about how to be now that she knew that she had this condition. I remember explaining that she would always be Krystie in her mind, no matter what happened, and that every day she had a choice to make. She could choose to be sad or she could choose to be happy. She looked up at me and smiled. What about that man, Stephen, who talks through the funny box? Stephen Hawking, I asked. Yes, him. I'm going to be like him. He gets on with his life and has done amazing things, and that was it. Our Krystie set her mind to be determined and happy. She carried on living with that effervescent zest for life, and she loved school plays at Claregate Primary School, lots of art and craft, writing, great parts with the Fruitcake Theatre Company, We got great support from Dr. Janet Anderson at New Cross and Jane Seller, her OT. Her life had gone through changes following divorce, so she now had step-parents. She had Michelle as a stepmom and Mitchell, my husband, her stepfather, and a sister, Amy. Mitchell and I went on to have 2 more children, Harrison and McKenna. She took on the role of older sister to the babies and she absolutely loved them. You've already heard today about her school days at Thomas Telford School, and I would like to thank all of the support workers there and the staff who were a daily part of her education. You were all brilliant. I almost forgot to say, she discovered McFly. She was a moderator on their site, followed them avidly and drove us mad with all things McFly. And I have a confession to make in that I completely misunderstood the note she left me to read after she passed away. Her mother's daughter, it was full of instructions. It read, play the McFly last song. With Mitch, we chose the songs you see on your order of services. But only a few days ago did I realise that they actually made a record called The Last Song. When I listened to it, I realised exactly why she chose it. So we have made a last minute change to the programme. And I thank you, Chris, for giving me one of those last moments when we could share a mother-daughter crossed wires moment. It made me smile, but you have your wish. My second prop, a clapperboard. Film and TV, another great passion of hers. She did work experience on Central News, 5 Live, and really developed a love for media. Krystie loves storytelling and writing. She wrote beautifully. Her writing was insightful, provoking, funny. She was very creative. And for her, film was just another way to tell stories. She also had a taste for She also had a taste of filmmaking when she took the opportunity to make documentaries with the BBC. She really wanted to make those programmes so that people could see real life, and she wanted people to realise that impairment simply means that you do some things differently. No surprise then that she decided to study TV and film production and script writing at Edge Hill University in Ormskirk. She bravely moved to live up there. It was a worry for all of us, but she was assigned support in the form of Karen and Judith, and the campus there is compact. She lived on site for the whole 3 years and she thoroughly enjoyed her time there. I am told that she made her mark, was supportive of her fellow students, giving out support and advice, and she was a real motivator and driver of the groups that she was in. She travelled regularly by train home and to London, where she also got work experience as a producer at a film company. Life wasn't always smooth. On campus, she scolded herself and ended up with serious burns in hospital. She got dropped off a train by staff helping her down a ramp. And when in London, she fell in hotel showers and had to use the pull cord and be rescued on more than one occasion. I used to be horrified and worried for her, but she would say, "Oh, Mum, I cover myself as best as I can with towels. I'm sure I don't have anything they haven't seen before, and needs must." She valued her independence, and she was not ready for a 24/7 assistant. She was truly brave. I know that her cousin Taze met her on more than one occasion and pushed her around London town because of the inaccessible trains and expensive taxis. Thank you for that, Taze. She loved telling me about those evenings. She graduated in 2011 with a high first in her degree, which was remarkable given the time she spent in hospital, and also because she became ill in her last term at uni. But she didn't tell them. She just worked around the clock for 2 to 3 weeks, got all of her work in and returned home, instructing me to organise a social workers meeting. This was typical of her. Krystie fought tooth and nail for independence, but she always knew when it was time to accept change. She had learned to drive, but gave her licence back after a couple of years. I asked her why she would do that when her independence would be affected. She fixed me with a steely gaze. She had this real steely gaze. She fixed it on me. I really can't believe you're asking me this, Mom. I nearly caused a serious accident today. I saw the other driver's fear and there were children in the car. So that's it. I won't be responsible for the death of anyone. I'm sending my licence back in. This returning home was much the same. After previously steadfastly refusing care support at home, she now bravely discussed her deterioration with the social worker team, and within 2 weeks we had a team of care support workers in place. That's when we met Helen, who we heard speak earlier. Care was provided by Woodford Home and CNS Care. We have met some wonderful people, many of whom stayed with Krystie for many years. Joyce, Karen, Sophie, Manjit Cornelia, Sam, Heather. She had PAs in Shani and Anna, and one of her last carers, who was with her for a good many years, was Manjit Kaur. People who enabled her to keep her dignity and independence. Some who became very close friends to her. I thank you all too. In this stage of her life, she was busy writing for counterintelligence films, blogs, film reviews, film scripts. She also painted and got out and about. She was happy. My last prop, her Bible. Krystie decided to resume her Bible study with Lisa and Nikki and started to attend meetings with the Finchfield Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, who proved themselves to be the most supportive group of people. She made firm friends. Nikki, Lisa, Katie, Beth, Elise, Matthew, Gareth, Leanne, Nathan, Ben, Peter, Malcolm, Iris, Marcia, Rachel, Elle, Stacey, who also got her the work experience on CNN. This is just a few of the names. She loved everyone in the congregation and they loved her. They took her out socially, afternoon teas, ministry, cart witnessing, quick build security, baking days, film nights, pizza nights, cinema. I think because of their faith, Krystie was never seen as disabled. She was always just treated with respect and true inclusion. They loved her for her sense of humour and fun. Her booming and very long, I can't breathe anymore laugh. They set up a rota to support her, and this was invaluable to Krystie, who very much wanted her own independence. She didn't want to be stuck with me, her mom. She wanted to sit on her own 4 wheels, organise her own life and affairs, and she achieved that. Her faith in the Bible and her strong vision of the Bible hope for her future were very real to her, and amongst all of the successes that she enjoyed, the only thing that mattered to her was her standing in Jehovah's eyes. As far as she was concerned, when she fell into her final sleep, she was already alive in his memory, and that is what I hold on to and will remember always. Finally, her family. Nicholas, Anthony, true big brothers. You supported your sister through childhood, from walking her to school, walking her home, playing with her, looking after her, up to the present day, with your wives, Claire and Steph, arranging to take her out to the theatre and cinemas, Warner Brothers Studios, how many times? Spending our family days with her. She loved you both so much. Harrison, from the age of 10 and 11, and many years after, you pushed that wheelchair when she got too tired. Never embarrassed, always proud to help her. Even as a little one, you followed her adoringly, watching and then joining her in playing with her much loved computer games, and generally just spending time with her. If we couldn't find you as a little boy, we'd find you with Chris. And this past 2 years, you spent time with her when back from university, introducing her to Phoebe, and you both enjoyed being with her. Amy, partners in crime from young children, very close. You always bounced off each other, very funny to watch together. Laughter surrounded you. You introduced her to Chloe, who she came to love too. You enjoyed a special bond. McKenna, the baby of her siblings, she loved you, and you two were typical sisters, banter as you call it, insulting one another, laughing over the same things, but also very similar, both artists, both creative and bakers. This last 6 months, as the only sibling still at home, you helped her so much, and I was so proud to see you step into those grown-up shoes and support her in the way you did. All of her family, she loved you all so much. Her cousins, her aunties and uncles, nephew and nieces. Tyler, Isabel, Ava and Harper. Her house was full of photos. She loved the babies, and her heart was brimming with laughter and love. Derek, you were very special to her too. Special people, Kelly, Amy, McKenna Brandon, Sam Woodhouse, school friends from childhood, Amy, Taze and Max, cousins who travelled down to stay in her little house and take her out, her grandparents, Molly, Steryl, Sonny and Joyce. She absolutely loved you all. For me as her mom, she taught me how to live with dignity, courage, determination and great joy. But she also showed me how to die with acceptance, no fear, great faith and a heart full of love. Krystie, Rosa, Elizabeth, I was privileged to be your mom, and I will miss you every day for the rest of my own life. We always knew that you would go first, and it hasn't been any easier for knowing this, but I'd go through every day of it all over again because you were so worth it. We faced so much together and overcame so many obstacles, but I was always keenly aware that it was the least I could do. You were the one who carried this illness, and you bore it well. What else could I do? It was an honour to be at your side. I love you so much. Sleep tight. My brave, bold, funny girl. I'll see you in the new order. So there you go. That was my eulogy for Krystie. Probably spoken with less emotion today. I'm really glad that I did it. I'm really glad that I spoke for my girl. And if you find yourself in a similar situation, then just do your best. It will be good enough. And my heart goes out to you, and I send you my love. Thank you.